Previously on Lost.
This entire time since the beginning, Charlie has been sneaking off and doing his heroin. Locke asks Charlie to give him the last of his heroin. Okay, this is Lost Part 6. It is the episode entitled Moth, and it is primarily an episode about Charlie. The important thing to remember about this episode is it's the first where the group is now separated. Some people are at the beach, and then through the jungle, a mile up, there's the cave that Jack found, and some people are there. First time we see Charlie, he's playing his guitar that he got in the last episode. Remember, Locke has his heroin, and he's like all like jittery, and probably going through withdrawals. And Locke's like, let's go for a walk. And so Charlie follows him out into the jungle and finds that he can't find him, and he hears sounds and realizes that there's a boar chasing him. So he like runs through the jungle, and at the last second, there's like a net waiting, and Locke traps the boar, and he's like, thank you, Charlie, you make excellent bait. And Charlie's like, I'm gonna have to kill you, bald man, for doing that. No, he doesn't say that, but he's like, okay, I want my drugs back. And Locke's like, okay, you know what? I'll let you ask for your drugs from me for 3 times, and just so we're clear, that's the first time. Saeed is talking, this is back at the beach, Saeed is talking to Kate and Boone and saying that he has this plan to be able to try and find the distress signal that's coming from the island from the French woman, and basically gives them his plan of like the 3 of them are going to separate into different positions and then fire off bottle rockets so that they each know that they're ready, and turn on these devices, the antennas that he's made for each of them to try and triangulate the signal. In all of Charlie's flashbacks, you see him basically rise to glory with his band Driveshaft, who his older brother Liam is also in. And it just tells the story of like how they started out and then they go on tour. And Charlie's whole thing is that like he doesn't want it to be crazy. This is before he was using drugs. And his whole thing was he told his brother like, okay, if it gets out of control, we can walk away. And his brother's like, don't worry about it. You're going to be a bloody rock god. And so he gets swept up in all of the fame and whatever. He finds out that his brother's like doing drugs and is going crazy, and you see like Charlie sitting down at one of the tables, and he finds some of the heroin, and just kind of like they never show it on screen, but you kind of get the idea that that's like, okay, well, things are so crazy, maybe I should do drugs too. In the caves, everyone who's moved there is setting up the stuff that they brought with them. Jack's trying to set up like a medical area and is looking all around, and there's like this little back cave in the back somewhere that Jack goes in, and this is just after Charlie's talked to Locke and said, give me my drugs, and he's going all crazy and whatever, and basically thinks that everyone thinks that he's useless. So he's going in and going on a rant. He follows Jack into the hole or whatever it is, and is like yelling at him. Is like, you think I'm useless and whatever. And because he's yelling so loud, the inside of the cavern like crumbles and starts to collapse. Well, Jack is trapped inside, but Charlie makes it out, and everyone's like, what happened? And Charlie's like, it's rock and roll, man. No. They're like, okay, well, we got to get Jack out of there. So they send Charlie back to the beach and like, go get some help. Make sure you tell Kate. Charlie runs to the beach to tell everyone that like Jack's caught in the cave-in, and Saeed and Kate have already left to go put up their antennas. And Boone was the one that stayed on the beach to fire his bottle rocket from the beach. And he's telling everyone, and Charlie's telling everyone that, oh, well, we have to tell Kate. And Sawyer says, well, I know which way they went. I'll go tell them. And Boone was going to go help with the cave-in, so he tells Shannon, like, you need to be the one that does this. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Charlie runs into the jungle to find Locke. He's, the boar that he caught at the beginning, he's, like, cleaning it and preparing it to be cooked and whatever. And Charlie's, like, going stir-crazy. He's like, I can't stand feeling like this. I want my drugs back. And Locke's like, come here. and he shows him this cocoon that's on a tree, and he says, this is a moth cocoon, and it's just about to emerge. Struggle is nature's way of strengthening. He says, I could help this moth out of the cocoon, but it wouldn't be strong enough to survive. He says, well, so basically he's telling him, like, your struggle is going to make you stronger. And he tells him, okay, that's twice you asked me for your drugs. Ask me again and I'm going to give it to you. Charlie returns to the caves, and people are like digging and pulling the boulders out, and they're like, okay, we made it through and we can hear Jack, he's alive. And Charlie says, I'm small enough, let me go in to the tunnel that you've created and I'll go in and try and help him. Well, he goes in, but just as he's about to go all the way through, the thing collapses again. So now Charlie and Jack are both trapped inside the cave-in. Sawyer finds Kate and Saeed out in the jungle and was gonna tell them that like Jack is like trapped in a cave-in. This is supposed to be like jungle. Anyways, and she's like, why would I want to hear anything from you? And he's like, okay, fine. I'm not going to tell him. So he's like, fine, I want to help you with the antennas. And Saeed's like, I don't trust him. And she's like, well, whatever. He's just a redneck hillbilly, whatever. So he goes off to do his thing. He's going to go in to another location, and they're going to stay where they're at. And at 5 o'clock precisely, they're all going to fire off their little bottle rockets and then turn on their antennas so that he can try and get the transceiver to find the signal. Well, later, Sawyer finally says, oh, yeah, damn, didn't I tell you Jack is covered in a cave-in? And she's like, oh, my God, you're a pig. And so she runs off to go help help the others dig him out of the cave-in. In the last flashback of the episode, time has passed. The band is not playing anymore, and Charlie goes to Sydney to visit his brother Liam and basically tell him, like, they want Drive Shaft back. We're going to be booked for opening for another band on tour for 8 weeks. And he's like, I don't want to. I missed the birth of my daughter. You were there. And he realizes that he's still using heroin, and he's like, you did this to me. And it was supposed to be about the music. And he's like, well, why don't you stay with us? And he's like, no, never mind. I'm just going to go ahead and leave. And that's why Charlie was in Sydney in Australia and got on the plane, because he went to go visit his brother Liam. So Kate arrives and finds out that Charlie went in to go save Jack, but the tunnel that he was crawling through collapsed. And she's like, why is nobody digging? And starts removing boulders and stuff from, from the hole that they were in, and this is the tunnel that collapsed. It's like all closed off now. And Jack and Charlie are in here, and he sees a little moth flying around, and he's like, oh, look, where did that moth come from? It must have come from over here. And he sees light, so he eventually digs his way out of the tunnel, and I'm assuming Jack follows him, because in the very next scene, they're like walking around into the cave, and everyone's like, oh, yay, whatever, he's back. Well, it's 5 o'clock, and it's time for everyone to set off their bottle rockets. So Saeed sends his off. He's off like in high ground, and he sets his off. And then Shannon sets hers off from the beach, and Sawyer sets his off from the jungle. Saeed is trying to get the transceiver to work, and he finally acquires a signal, and he's like, yes. But you see off camera, like someone takes a stick, you don't see who it is, and hits him on the back of the head and knocks him out. The very last scene, Charlie gets up and goes to Locke and says, okay, I want my drugs. And he's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. So he gives him the drugs, and Locke's cooking the boar meat that he caught at the beginning of the episode. And Charlie takes the drugs and he throws them in the fire. And Locke's like, I'm proud of you. And Charlie's like, how bloody nice for me. That's how the episode ends.